Did the play suck that we saw? Jen Ewing and I both saw Life Sucks from the Wheelhouse Theater Company, written by Aaron Posner, directed by Jeff Wise. It was a spot-on Uncle Vanya, a country house, an older man with a young wife, 3 generations throwing unrequited love at the same individuals, boredom and financial distress overwhelming everyone. It's a real hoot. What we have here is a funny, thoughtful, thoroughly realistic progression through a minefield of middle-aged angst. The script was hilarious, the actors charming, familiar, and obviously having a wonderful time. Their inclusion of the audience was skilled and intimate. And I thought he was completely right. I said, this is one of the best shows I've seen this year. Aaron Posner gets that Chekhov's plays are essentially comedies, and he mines that comic gold for all it's worth. It helps to have such a game cast that throws themselves into their respective roles with such gusto. Jan thought this was a fun, entertaining evening. If you like plays that make you think, and why wouldn't you, why not see one written with humor and intelligence? And I said, Wheelhouse Theater Company is battling 1,000. Once again, as he did with Happy Birthday Wanda June, Jeff Wise is expert at creating great comic and tragic moments with a real flair for the text. Life may suck, but this play sure doesn't. We both give this a happy face plus.
At the Vineyard is Mara Nelson Greenberg's Do You Feel Anger, directed by Margot Bordelon, which concerns a woman named Sophia who's hired to do an empathy workshop at a very strange debt collection agency where women disappear in bathrooms, people are mugged in the kitchen, all the male employees are horn dogs, and the manager just wants to get rid of her. It seems to be absurdist in the extreme, and for a long time I felt it was strange just to be strange until it all came together powerfully in the end. And there's also Sophia's mother who needs some empathy herself because the father has found another family and needs blowjobs constantly. It kind of works, but you do have to stay with it for it to come together. I'm giving it a happy face minus.
Jake Goldbas and myself saw Actually We're Fucked by Matt Williams, directed by John Pasquin. It centers on 2 couples who are friends with each other. They pretentiously carry on about what is the best religion to raise a baby, climate control, and other weighty matters that they have to look up on Google every 5 minutes. Their millennial musings are interrupted with an unlikely soap opera plot that suspends belief. They are all tangled in each other's lives with misconceptions and betrayals. Events happen that make them question everything. The real question is, how do these mismatched people end up friends? They really need to go out and meet more people. As you know, I have a high tolerance for soap opera plots, but this one even strained my incredulity. Matt Williams' creative license should be revoked. And Jake Goldbas thought, as a young millennial 31 years old, I disagree with the play's rendering of these characters. I found myself being condescended to. Other millennials who are not financiers or lawyers might feel insulted too. We both give this a mixed face. We did not like it.
Red Bull Theater Company is presenting John Webster's The White Devil, directed by Louisa Proskay. In this 1612 tragedy, lust, greed, and revenge create a confusing but entertaining bloody mess. Bracciano loves Vittoria, but in order to have her, he must eliminate his wife Isabella and her husband Camillo. Vittoria's brother Flamineo assists his boss Bracciano in this dirty work. Francisco, Isabella's brother, assisted by Ludovico, who loved Isabella, plots revenge. And anything that can go wrong will go wrong, but you will enjoy it immensely because this is a full-blooded and very funny production of a rather strange play in which murders take place, like poisoned portraits.
Well, don't give away too much.
Oh, you know. Okay, there's strange murders that are a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly. And they use projections and stuff. I had no idea what was going on. I have no idea why people were killing who and who was sleeping with who or anything else. It was just ridiculous. But I was thoroughly entertained, and people really got to show off their acting chops, especially Derek Smith, because he got to play this little nerdy little guy, and then he got to play this real killer guy. And then there was the one who was she was like the marred one. She's just beautiful, you know, but you didn't see her Phantom of the Opera face because she had a mask on. And then she played a young boy. So it was. I had no, like I said to Mark, why didn't he do this? Why was they? I was like, but
Cherie Corinne Rice is that character.
But
she is amazing.
I'm giving this a happy face minus, but they give you a synopsis beforehand. Really, you have to read this beforehand, because I should have for once, because I had no idea what was going on.
Well, it doesn't matter. You'll still have a great time, even if you are a bit confused. It's so much fun. Charlie's
Waiting. Parity Productions and Melissa Annis's Charlie's Waiting concerns secrets left unrevealed. How much do you know someone? Planning a wedding while pregnant, Louise gets unexpected visitor with unwelcome news. What to do? It's a top-notch cast of Xantha Elbrick, Stephanie Heitman, and Amy Scanlon. There are just too many unanswered questions. I always find it annoying and lazy writing when just as things are heating up, the writer drops the ball and just ends the play abruptly. This is a play sorely in need of a second act. Ludovica Villarhauser showed her expertise as a director to take this unfinished work and keep my interest. She made this highly unlikely situation so real, I find myself worrying about them getting the wedding preparations done in time. I wanted to attend this wedding. If you don't mind a soprano-type ending to an intriguing play on a gorgeous set by Megan George and the top-notch acting I was telling you about, then you will enjoy this play. My friend, she was also very interested in what was going on, just like, what? We want more! We want more! So it gets a happy face minus, because we want more.
Jan Ewing saw Southern Promises by Thomas Bradshaw at the Flea Theater, and he liked it a lot. On his deathbed, a plantation owner vows to set his slaves free, but when his wife rejects the request, chaos erupts on the plantation. He feels that this play is a direct, upfront, no-holds-barred discussion of slavery, and let's see, that the narrative is tight and well written, and he liked performances were effective and intense, many exciting thought-provoking moments, and the cast, all members of the Bats, which are the house company of the Flea. So he gave it a happy face. There's a lot more on Facebook.
Georgia Kelly's I Carry Your Heart at the Athena Theater Company deals with the emotional trauma on the sides of both the organ donor and the recipients and their family. Organ transplants is a thorny subject as someone has to die for another person to live. The cast handles this with earnestness and sensitivity. This is also a love story as well as a family drama. Georgia Kelly takes this popular soap opera ploy, and by shining a light on both sides, including the dead person, we get a much more comprehensive view of the importance and terror of vital transplants. I Carry Your Heart Will Carry You Away. This gets a happy face, and it's also playing at 5090's 59th Street Theater. Also at 5090's 59th Street is Michael McKeever's After, which navigates the tricky terrain of motherhood, parenting, and the ramifications of 17-year-old boys' hurtful actions and how it reflects on the parents. Two sets of parents discuss the disturbing text that the Campbell son Kyle sent to the Beckman son Matthew. Julius' sister Val is there to act as a mediator. The scenes are divided into before, during, and after in order to watch the progression of the fallout that occurs. This raises a lot of questions with no easy answers. What makes a kid a bully or a victim? Who's responsible for reprehensible behavior when parents seem so reasonable except when it comes to any perceived threat about their kid and how they were raised? A lot was made about perception versus reality. This was done quite smartly with all these red herrings thrown at the audience, where we also were judgmental about the characters until certain facts are brought out. We got to see the parents' point of view over a terrible teen episode from start to finish. We all do our best, but what if that isn't good enough? After will give you lots to think about long after the play is over. I gave this a happy face minus.
At Theater for St. Clement's is Vilna, written by Ira Fuchs, directed by Joseph Disher, and it's a rather sprawling play that deals with the Jewish community of Vilna, which was the capital of Lithuania, and how it thrived in the early part of the 20th century and was completely destroyed by World War II. It focuses on Matka Zaidel, who is the son of a glove manufacturer, and wife, the doctor, and the orphan friend Yudi Farber, who becomes like a brother, and how they manage to negotiate through the ghetto and after. And it's, for me, it was very interesting information, but didn't really become alive as a play until there was an evil Nazi character towards the end, who was actually the most compelling person on stage.
Yeah, see, also the thing about Lithuania, it was taken over by the Poles and the
Yes.
Russians, and there was this constant batting back and forth, like, who do we have to worry about now? And for the Jews, they had to worry about everything. And I just found it, I didn't know this was based on real people, because I kept thinking, this is like a TV series where the main heroes don't die, and you keep thinking, why are they still alive? It goes from 1926 to 1943, so you see the progression of, you know, before the Nazis come, what are the Nazis going to do when they get there, and I thought the Nazis, like, why are they making this Nazi seem so smooth talking, and he's evil and nasty, and
Well,
we don't.
you could be smooth talking and evil.
No, but you're not supposed to like him. And
Oh, okay.
I just, you know, it was kind of you know.
Well, I didn't like him, but I just thought he was more interesting as a character.
But yeah, but I like it. Was a, you know, it's an interesting concentration camp story done, because you get to see how the concentration camps were built. How this guy who was the architect, Yudi, he realized, you know, they thought it was for animals at first, and then when he realized what it was, it's like, and that's nothing. If he made the concentration camps faulty, how come more people couldn't escape, or I don't know, but I'm giving it a happy face minus, but this was really a very interesting play, I thought.
I gave it mixed. Again, the information was really interesting, but I wish it would have a rewrite.
At the Atlantic Theater Company is Florian Zeller's The Mother, translated by Christopher Hampton, directed by Trip Cullman. A mother clings to her 25-year-old son. What becomes of a mother's identity after the kids are gone and the husband's at work all the time? She has nothing left to do but drink, take pills, and stew. Don't even bother trying to make sense of this play. Scenes are repeated with different outcomes. Certain facts spill over into each scene. Even the scenery is non sequitur. It's an exciting cast. I mean, you got Isabel Hubbard and Christopher Noss, but I am on the kid's side. And don't blame him for not wanting to visit the mother, because I'm sorry that I did. So I'm giving this an unhappy face.
I can't imagine Isabelle Huppert being terrible.
The play was.
At Theater for a New Audience in Brooklyn, we have The Tragedy of Julius Caesar, written by William Shakespeare, directed by Shanna Cooper, choreographed by Erica Chung-Shu. And it deals with discussions of the conspirators leading to the assassination of Caesar, played by Rocco Sisto, and the aftermath of the Civil War, pitting the assassins Brutus and Cassius against Caesar supporters Mark Antony and Octavia Caesar. It's done in modern dress, but it really is a thorough examination of the traditions and the situation of ancient Rome. And I got that feeling of this being a very different place from now, much more than in other works. I thought that the cast, except for Rocco Sisto, they were all young actors that I didn't know at all, but were really very good. And certain things that are like neglected in other plays, versions of this, the murder of the poet Cinna because he has the wrong name, really shows the brutality and changeability of the crowd better than other productions. So I'm giving this a happy face. It's a really superior Shakespeare.
Fiasco Theater at the Roundabout is doing Sondheim's Merrily. We roll along with George First's book. It follows a friendship chronologically backwards through time. So it starts at 1980 and ends at 1957. And it goes from the end of their friendship to the beginning. These people's lives seem to hinge on one character named Frank, and they can't seem to function without him. This is a trio of people we follow. This has always been one of Sondheim's most problematic musicals, as the score is brilliant, but it just doesn't match up to George's first book. Fiasco has streamlined this from all the many versions culled from Sondheim's very own archives that he gave them access to. The result is that it shows even more clearly how people think that people that you think will stay friends forever drift apart, how young love doesn't last any better than friendships, and that for some, career change is possible. While the show gives me a lump in the throat, it also irritates the heck out of me. The cast is just so wonderful in this, though. Maybe that's what makes this friendship so necessary. Ultimately, is having someone in your life who remembers when all your dreams and crazy ideas were possible, and each of these friends were kind, good, and hopeful at one point. But we must all merrily roll along, and you should roll along to this stirring musical, and I give this a happy face. And way more on Facebook, because I love analyzing this show.
Both Jake Goldbas and I saw Faust 2.0 from Goethe's Faust Part 2, adapted by Matthew Maguire and directed by Sharon Ann Fogarty, part of the Mabou Minds presentation, where they're in residence at Community Space 122, that used to be PS 122. Part 2 is the part that's almost never performed and is considered more literary than really dramatic. It continues the pact with the devil made by Faust, and here he's exposed to the beauties of Helen of Troy, whom he has to live with and have a child with, and works for an emperor who's all powerful but in a lot of trouble, and later battles against the sea. It sprawls all over the place. It's the kind of thing that's very hard to do on stage, but here they do a really great job with video projections, including some East Village regulars like Black Eyed Susan and Chang Valdez, I forget her last name, on the screen. It's quite good, and there's a lot more on Facebook, and I think Jake liked it even more than I did.
First, I just want to apologize to Isabelle Hubert for massacring a name. And now I'm going to massacre an Iranian name. Okay, Nassim Soleimanpour shtick. Get a different actor for each show. Be on stage, totally unprepared. He gives them instructions, then he proceeds to read the play out loud. So in this one, we're taught Pharisee so we can connect with him, his mom, and Iran. Catherine Grody was as verklempt as us. This is a once-upon-a-time story of a little boy wanting to read and cherishing his little barren family. Nassim has certainly found his gimmick to get ahead and take us with him. And this gets a happy face. And also coming up, you can get people like Ashley Park, Jeremy Shamus, Lee Pace, Michael Stahl-Davis, and Carla Gugino. So it's really a fun thing to see, and it's a very moving play, and you get involved. I went to the Benny and June press conference. Mark Hobie introduced it. Jack Cummings introduced the musical numbers. It stars Hannah Ellis, Bryce Pinkham, Claiborne Elder, and Tatiana Weschler plays Ruth.
Namped many years ago and was really moved by the story. It's an incredibly wonderful story about a brother and sister, the relationship they share, the support they give each other, and the love they have for each other. And I think that's unique in musical theater. I don't know that there's one other we can think of, which we won't mention, the J&J show, but I don't know that there's other musicals that celebrate this relationship and so wonderfully. And for us at Paper Mill, since access for persons of all abilities and challenges is important, for us it's really a great opportunity to bring a musical that showcases a family struggling with the challenges of mental illness, and that is just part of their everyday lives and how they deal with it and how they overcome it and how they find love in it.
Our story takes place in Spokane, Washington during the early 1990s. Benny, a garage owner and a mechanic, lives with his sister June, who is afflicted with schizophrenia. When Benny was 18 and June 12, their parents died in a tragic car accident caused by a faulty traffic light in the middle of a storm. Since that moment, their lives have our poker game with Mike, June loses and must take Sam off of Mike's hands to live with her and Benny. June and Sam begin to develop a somewhat peculiar relationship. In this scene at the local diner, we also see Ruthie, a waitress who has recently moved back to town and has taken an interest in Benny as well as June.
What's Benny doing? Oh, you know, dark, brooding, a regular Heathcliff, but...
I've stayed here and been beaten like a dog. Been cursed and driven mad. But I've stayed just to be near you, even as a dog. And I'll stay to the end. I'll live and die under this rock. Were there any kind snacks up there, Eva?
Yoga? Saved the raisins. Thank you, Ruthie.
Save the raisins. You don't like raisins?
They used to be fat and juicy. And now they're twisted and sad. They've had their soul stolen. Sure, they taste sweet, but really they're just humiliated grapes.
It needs to be defended. So many foods do.
It's what you want to offset it.
So let's agree to be avengers.
Every group will be befriended.
And we'll save those made to last, 'cause there'll be no more chicken fingers. Sorry. It's a shame that in this world so much food is so mistreated, when what's needed is a friend to take a shot. It's a shame that in this world no one saw the truth like we did. Now what's needed is a plan, which we have got.
My ears are hot.
It's the spot. We should throw.
In his first day at Benny and June's house, Sam, in an effort to help, inadvertently upsets June when he cleans the house and actually touches her things. Attempting to earn her forgiveness, Sam reveals some of his troubled background. June is touched and forgives him. Sam proceeds to make dinner for Benny and June, a dinner of grilled cheese sandwiches cooked via an iron. After this unusual but comforting dinner, Benny stops into June's room to say goodnight.
So you think you and Sam are going to be okay tomorrow?
He's more complex than I expected.
He could use some therapy.
It's not something to joke about, Benny. Sam's been through a lot. Verbal abuse, abandonment. It's frustrating to feel like people don't see you, to be misunderstood, to...
You're right. You're right. Okay, I just meant that it seems like he's had a tough time.
He really can cook, can he?
He's pretty creative, I'll give him that. Although for the grilled cheese, I would have used the wool center.
That's what I thought.
What did he use?
Rayon. Silk would have been too spongy. Cotton would have...
Burned it.
Right. Fortunately, he didn't give it
And Benny and June will open up April 14th. And, oh, the Gondoliers. It's the Blue Hill Troupe. It's Gilbert and Sullivan. And Jan's got a huge review on Facebook, and he loved it. But I don't have time to review it here. But definitely go see it because he absolutely loved it. And it's a Gilbert and Sullivan one they hardly ever do. So you've got a top-notch troupe doing it. They've been around for 95 years. So definitely go catch out the Gondoliers Blue Hill Troupe. Leslie D'Elia is saying June is the first fall, so that review will be on the Facebook page. And Marjana, and that's Target Margin, and we all want to go see it, but we can't fit it in, so go see it. And I'll have interviews with Benny and June on our next show, April 27th. And if you're looking for a Seder to go to, there's a free one with the new Yiddish rep. And Fine Times 54 below, lots going on there, check them out. A lot is going on at Panagea. You got Jay Rogers, Sidney Myers, Raven O, Jazz Bastards, Karen Akers at the Beach Cafe tonight, April 13th. Some other good shows going on at 59th, 59th Street. And at 92nd Street Y, you've got Kiss Me Kate, Will Friedwald, Michael J. Fox, and the Poem Family with their cookbook, Fleabag at Soho Rep. Sorry, Fleabag is at Soho Playhouse, not Soho Rep. Irish Rep has a Shauna Casey season going on right now, which we will talk about on our next show. And some shows we might talk about on our next show, April 27th. And these are shows that have closed that we've reviewed on our Facebook page. Don't forget to pick up your Performing Arts Insider, the cultural heartbeat of New York City. That's where I get all my information from. And be sure to like us on High Drama, Facebook page, Twitter, and YouTube. And because I had to go through this so fast, I'm going to go through a little slow so you can see better.